So I'm James Samuel, and Pete and I had the very first conversations around Ooooby 7 years ago, and it's been an amazing journey since then. So we're going to take you through a little bit of that, tell you some of the history, why and how and what we've done and so forth.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming along. This is a big deal for us at the moment. We've been coming along quite a journey over the last 7 years. Alright, so I'm going to bang through these slides and hopefully you'll enjoy the evening, and at the end you'll have lots of time to ask questions. So James, whenever I bing, if you could click, oh there we go, people. So first thing is, we're an organisation of people who really care, and we're mission driven. Our mission is to make local food convenient, affordable and fair everywhere, which is a massive mission because everywhere is a big place. And the idea is we want to start small and do it really well, and then do that again and again, and we want to help people to be able to take those small steps towards getting something started. And it comes down to people. I've come up with some ideas. Some of the ideas around it, I didn't even come up with a name. My wife came up with the name. James and I worked so hard on some of the concepts in the early days. And our team this has been a team effort like nothing else. It's had so many people contribute to it. And I've just really got to acknowledge and recognise the people like Karina for your awesome effort. You've been here and involved from, would be almost 7 years ago, right? You probably signed up 6-7 years ago. And we only met for the first time tonight. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You've made such a huge contribution, and so thank you so much, and to everyone who has been involved, which has been a lot of people. Moving right along. Okay, so here's our journey so far. By the way, these are just some of the people that have been involved on the right-hand side here, on your left-hand side. And so, basically, we started doing the Ooooby boxes after we'd already made a couple of mistakes. We didn't get it right first. And so it was 2010 that we finally started on our journey with the Ooooby boxes. And since 2010, we got the Auckland hub started and worked really hard to make that work. And then we were nominated for the Deloitte Rising Star Award, meaning that for a business under 2 years old for fast growth. And we were finalists in that, and that was a great recognition. But what we were really doing was just really focusing on doing as good a job as we could in that one area. Then we were approached by a gentleman in Sydney who said, I really like what you guys are doing, I want to do it here. And so it took a bit of time getting to know each other and just figuring out whether it was going to work or not. But eventually, in 2013, we opened our second hub, and that was in Sydney, which for me was great because Sydney is actually my hometown where I was born and raised. So it was an excellent experience to be able to see that we could create something here that is local and then actually take it to another country and it be supporting local in that region as well. So the whole idea is the whole idea of export. There's nothing wrong with export as far as I can tell. It's about exporting bits and not bytes, as in bytes. So what that made us realise was that we can innovate, we can do things and try things out here in New Zealand that can actually have an impact around the world, and we can just do it in our little way here, but it can actually reverberate. So and then we went to Sydney, and then from there we were able to actually work with an existing organisation that was doing this similar sort of work, but they weren't able to make it work. They were losing money doing it because of all the effort and administration around it, and we were able to bring our software to that and actually make that business, keep that business alive, and actually grow from there. So it's been great to see that we've been able to take the tools we've developed and supported the business to grow in Sydney. Then the next step was Waikato. James had already been in the Waikato and working with people, getting things going, and Daphne came over from Sydney, having been our Sydney hub coordinator, or sorry, customer happiness it was over there, and came over and moved to Cambridge, living with her uncle there in Cambridge, and just got the ball rolling and got everything up and running. And now the Waikato Ooooby hub is being run from the Waikato Environment Centre, and it's working great. We had a meeting with them about a week or two ago, and it was thumbs up all around, so that was really cool. And then a couple of months ago, we launched our very first hub in the United States, and we're working with an organisation over there called the Food Commons, who are very aligned with our way of thinking, and it was a real mind-blowing event to actually see that, again, what we've been able to do here is applicable anywhere pretty much in the world. And then last 3 weeks ago, we launched, we did our first operation in the Matakana, which was awesome. I was able to be there and be the guy finishing the boxes off and so forth. Probably made a few mistakes, but no one knows. So it's good. And so it's been an incredible journey to have opened up 5 hubs and to see them all operating successfully. And yeah, brilliant. Thank you. So this is a blank one because it's here to remind me, just to tell you a little bit about the story about why we're doing Ooooby and sort of where I've come from in my journey. I grew up, moving around a lot in a military family. My dad was a soldier and we had to move around a lot, but we eventually landed in a block of land about 2 acres southwest of Sydney, where we had chooks and we had a ram and we had a horse and we had that whole lifestyle. We used to have a pan toilet and then we'd come and collect the pan once a week, and I always thought, I don't want to live like this. I want to be like, I want to be rich. I want to have like a nice house, and I want to live like a grand life. And so finished school and went off and did my career as an entrepreneur and started one business after another, and hustled as much as I could to try and get businesses to go, and eventually landed a business that made hit the pay dirt, so to speak. And I at the time was importing frozen pastries from Europe, and putting them in shipping containers, freezer shipping containers, and shipping them from Europe across the globe to the other side of the world to put them in these massive big freezer warehouses where they'd sit until they're distributed to the supermarkets and sit in the supermarket freezers for a while until they're pulled out, put into an oven in the supermarket, and then served up as freshly baked, authentic continental croissants and Danish and things. And it was an amazing business because just before then I had been running our own patisserie where we were making all the produce, all the cakes and things like that ourselves. And we were able to, because of the help of this big corporate, behemoth behind us, we were able to grow our business astronomically almost overnight. We basically grew the business from under $1 million a year to over $12 million a year within 2 years, and then continuing the growth. And what we noticed on the way was, well, gee, we really took a lot of market share from a lot of those small players, but hey, this is business, right? It's just the way it goes. Then something happened. We hit the 2008 global financial crisis, and what happened for most people on a day-to-day level kind of didn't really see anything really happen, but what happened for us was that the exchange rate spiked. And it went from, we were paying 85 cents for a croissant, let's say, and selling it for $1, to paying $1.15 and selling it for $1. And it happened literally overnight. And we had shipping containers on the water and at the docks, and it was a disaster because we were losing about, it was about 120, actually it was close to $1 million a month of trade. So we were losing a lot of money. And it was at that point that I started to think, it's like, do I actually want this life? Because I felt like I got to see, through a series of events of moving to Waiheke and talking to new people, I got to see that what I was participating in, it might have had great personal self-interest involvement for me, but I was actually participating in something that was tearing apart the fabric of society to a large degree. It seems innocuous, it's just cakes. But the reality of it is that I was part of this big industrial machine which was about taking more and more market share away from the smaller local operators and into these large corporate organisations. And it was draining. It was soul draining. It wasn't fun going to the meetings and going to these big buildings where you've got to talk to this buyer and that buyer, and no one's there because they want to be there. They're all there because they have to be there, and they're all screwing everyone down because they have to. And no one's having any fun. And it just didn't add up. So we made a decision that this isn't what life is about. Let's do something that's actually can make a difference. My wife came up with the name Ooooby. I was going to call it Oog, I should say, out of our own gardens, but she said that was stupid. So I said, okay. She came up with Ooooby, and from there it was just an idea. It was just an idea. Now, fortunately, having had a business that was successful and having not lost all the money on the supply, the exchange rate thing, I was able to sell out of my business, and I was able to have some cushion to be able to get started and to start this idea off. And for a while, it was just that. It was just an idea, but it caught traction. It got traction really quickly, because it was an idea that I think certainly wasn't my idea. It was an idea that has been floating around for a lot of people. And it's like, why do we have to do it like this? Why do we have to go to the supermarket and get this tasteless food when surely we can do it better than that? But we just haven't had the technology, and we just haven't had the distribution channels have all been biased towards that modern sort of food system. So when we came up with the idea and we put it out there, it just got a lot of traction very quickly, and a lot of people started joining the social network that we created for the purpose of connecting growers to each other. And that was really exciting, and it's like, there might be something. There might be something here that can really make a difference. And then what we discovered was that there was a lot of food being grown. There was a lot of people who wanted to grow food and so forth, but there was no real channel to market. And so it was all on the fringes and on the edges, and there was no way that this food could actually get into the market and start regaining market share. And so that's when we came up with the idea of setting up a shop. And so, James, if you go to the next thing. So this is our first step with Ooooby. We took over a garden centre that was going out of business pretty much. And we said, we'll set up a local food shop in Ostend, in Waiheke, and we'll celebrate local food. And it was awesome. For 3 months, it was awesome. And then we looked at the books and we're like, this is going nowhere. We are spending way too much money and it's not going to work. I mean, it's a great charitable thing to do, but it's got no way of moving forward. So we we decided, no, what we'll do, we'll close the shop down and we'll go and we'll set up in a farmer's market. Because what we'll do is we'll represent the people who don't have enough food in their backyard to warrant getting their own stall at the farmer's market, and we'll represent all the backyard food growers at the farmer's market. And it was awesome. It was great. For 18 months we had this stall and just kept getting bigger and bigger. It was the biggest stall at the Great Lynn Farmers Market. And it was such a success, except it lost money every single week for 18 months. And so no matter how nice and good or whatever it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to sustain itself. So the next step was the box. And this is one of our first boxes ever being delivered by Karen in October 2010 on the first delivery day. And that's when we've got our first sort of sure footing into how we can make a business model work. There's Sydney opening up a couple of years later, or 3 years later. This is Camilla from the Waikato, and these are the guys from Matakana. So now what we've got is a software platform that is allowing local teams to connect with local growers and deliver food to local customers. And what we provide is the software and the support and the training, because we've walked that path already a few times now. it's good. It's good for the growers. You heard Bill and Marilyn say it works for the growers. We pay 50 cents in the retail dollar. So when you buy something for $1 at the supermarket, you can expect the grower to be getting somewhere around 30 cents if they're lucky out of that dollar. We pay 50 cents, which is a lot more than they normally get, and it works well for them. It's excellent for the Ooooby hub, the custodians and the crew, because it's a system that, because we've taken a lot of the fat out of the supply chain, everyone can afford to be paid, like properly, for their time and their work. It doesn't need to be a volunteer effort. We can do this and everyone will be paid well and recognised accordingly for their efforts. And it's obviously great for our customers because our customer numbers just keep growing, and they keep growing because customers just keep telling other people, and it grows like that. And the food is really fresh. It's fresh because we tell the farmers on Friday, this is what we want to order. They don't pick it until Monday often, because they know that we're going to have it on a Tuesday. And so it comes to us really fresh, and then it's in the boxes on the doorsteps that afternoon in a lot of cases. Sometimes it's the next day, but we shorten the supply chain right down so that you can get it pretty much as fresh as possible. And setting up a new hub is where we're up to now. We're up to the point of helping people setting up new hubs, and it pretty much comes down to a team of dynamic and enthusiastic people who are willing to put the effort in. It's not easy, all right? It's a hard job getting a local food business up and running because there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of relationships. It's a slow, steady process, but it's a really important one, and we're here to help people to do that. These are the new hubs that we have in the pipeline. So, well, Matikan's represented there. That's actually live now. Is this Bay of Plenty just there? That one at the top there? Talk about showing my geographical ignorance. And we've got Palmerston North and Kapiti Coast actually, and Christchurch, where there's somebody already in those places who has been through the initial sort of process of training and familiarising themselves with what needs to happen and getting the groundwork done, getting out there, meeting growers and starting to pull the web together. So we're really excited to be going on this tour now and meeting up with those people and helping to progress that. This is pretty much how it works. The Ooooby platform is what we've built, and that's a software platform, kind of like a TradeMe, but for food. And the way it works is the way that the engineers and the team at the Ooooby platform get paid is through a percentage of the sales of all the hubs coming back to the platform. Okay, and that pays for the software to continue to be developed. It pays for James and Daphne to come around and be support people as local teams get set up. And it allows for us to also do all the financial management and make sure that all the different hubs are managing their business as well, because it's very easy for it to not work. You know, it's a complex business, but it's one that if you can get it right, it works really well. Okay, so I'm going to dive into some numbers here, because tonight's actually technically an investor information evening, so I don't know how many of you here are coming along about the investor information specifically. Okay, cool. So you probably see the general Ooooby information, but I will explain some numbers for you, because it's these economics that make it work. When a customer pays, basically what we have is a subscription service, right, where people sign up for a box a week. And what we do is we come up with what's going to be in that box, and we say, here is what we think you would like this week. And on a Thursday, we send an email out saying, this is what is available, and this is what we've put together for you. And you've got about 12 to 20 hours or whatever to come back to us and say either ignore us and get exactly what we've put in the box for you, or to come back and say, oh, I don't want that, but I'll have this instead, or can you top my box up with this, this and that. And so you can completely customise your box. But then every week you get a box. And the average transaction value is about $50. Of that, about $21.74 goes to, that $50 goes to the growers, the same amount goes to the hub or the custodian, and the tax man gets a bit in the middle, which is the GST. If we break it down to the next, and we're assuming here, by the way, that we're assuming a full produce box, not including like jams and things like that, which you can get. So of that $21.74, when you're running a hub of say 250 250 customers, that provides revenue of about $5,435 after you've paid the growers, okay? And then that splits up into these different functions. So you'll see the drivers is actually, the delivery is actually a big part of the cost of the business to do up to the door delivery. Now we do actually also run a model where we don't have that driving cost, and that's where we do pickup points. Okay, but this is the model that we've got running in Auckland at the moment. So the drivers are paid about $1,250, the packers are paid about $1,000, Ooooby as providing the software and the support and the financial services and so forth is paid about $870. The management is the supply coordinator, customer service, packing coordination, and all of the managerial stuff, administrative stuff around running it. Around $850. There's about $683 profit. I've got these in size order, right? So the biggest ones at one end and so forth. Overhead's about $565 and marketing is about $217. So that's how the costs all break down in the business. And what's really important about this is that you've got to get, to make this work, you've got to get your unit economics right. You've got to get everything costing only what it, you basically got to keep everything the cost under your income, and it's not an easy thing to do. And so what we do is we've created these benchmarks where we can measure all businesses and help the hubs to make sure that they're on track. Moving through, so a typical hub with 1,000 customers would have the same sort of breakdown, but you'll notice that the profit, as you get up to more customers, the profitability is moved up, it becomes a larger proportion. Your costs of your management relatively are lower, and so what it basically means is that as you grow your business, the economics of the business improve, which is a good thing. And it just means that as you grow your business, there's more that can be reinvested back into helping to develop the local food system. And I'll get back into that topic in a bit. All right, perfect. Okay, so this is the goal. We're currently delivering about 500 boxes a week in Auckland, but our goal over the next 4 years is to be delivering 2,000 boxes a week. And this is again how the numbers will split out at that point. So as you can see, the profitability is continuing to go up as we scale the business. Thank you, James. All right. Now, for the purpose of the investment information, because what we're doing is actually doing a crowdfunding campaign where we're selling shares in Ooooby Limited, as in the platform. This here shows how the platform spends its money, its portion of the money that comes in from its own hub that we operate in Auckland, as well as the revenue that's coming in from the other hubs. And you can see how the salary, we spend for Davey, Nick and I, who are the 3 executives, salaries, and then support salaries, and then tech salaries, and finance salaries, and so on. Okay? That's basically the breakdown of the finances within the Ooooby platform. All right? Okay. Now, as an investor, the sort of thing to be looking for is, what's in it for me as an investor? Like, why would I want to invest in something like this? The main reason that people are investing in Ooooby is about, firstly, making a difference and participating in being part of something that's actually causing a change to happen. There is a return for investors, but we've got a condition on it, and that is that when we started Ooooby, we said that all profits that we generate are going to go back into local food, okay? Because the mission is more important than the money for us. So what we've done is we've created an investment opportunity where people can buy shares, normal shares, it's just like any normal company, but that when we pay dividends, we pay the dividends in local food dollars. So we basically pay dividends in local food instead of in money. And that way, you know that the money is going back into the local food economy and going back to the growers and so forth. And what we do, the way we do that is we use vouchers, and those local food vouchers can be spent either at Ooooby, or we're wanting to work with farmers markets and so forth, so they can be spent at farmers markets or local cafes or restaurants or whatever that support local food. And so what we're creating is a profit model that is funneling things back into the local food economy. Okay? So this little equation is, sum down the bottom basically shows that in about 5 years, for someone who invested the minimum amount of, say, $500, we're looking at, after we probably wouldn't start paying dividends until about 5 years, but after 5 years, we're looking at about 5.7% return on your investment. Okay? Not a huge return, we're not talking about like 10 times your money and everything like that, but it's a pretty safe return, and it's something that will accumulate over time. The other thing to be aware of as a shareholder and investor is that there's also shareholder discounts. So if you invest $500, you get a 5% discount on your groceries. Okay? If you're spending about $50 a week, it'll take you just under 5 years to completely pay back your investment just on the discount alone. And so from that point forward, you're saving 5% on your groceries, plus then you're also getting some dividends in local food dollars, which again saves you money on your food as well. So that's how that part of the investment model works. Okay, moving right along. These are some of the really cool organisations that have been watching and supporting us and saying, actually, what you guys are doing is good. It is actually working, and we've been really fortunate to get that feedback from these organisations because, being a mission-driven business, it's very easy to kind of forget about the commercial reality of things, that you can't, if we're going to make a sustained change, we've got to be operating in a manner that is going to sustain itself financially, and it's actually going to sustain its own growth. And so we've been really fortunate to have the support of organisations that recognise both the mission that we're doing, as well as the rational sort of business models behind it. Okay, so the share offer is, we are offering up to 800,000 shares at $1 each, with a minimum share purchase of 500 shares. Okay, and there's no maximum share purchase, but the shareholder discount basically works out 500 to 999 shares is a 5% discount, from 1,000 to 2,000 shares is a 7.5% discount. Well, sorry, 1,000 to 5,000 shares is 7.5, I think. We'll be able to look in the book, and I'll pass these around a little bit so you'll be able to look at more details. And then as you go up to 5,000, you get a 15% discount, and 10,000 up to a 20% discount. So that's how that works. Moving on. Who here loves charts? Oh, I can see everyone's lighting up. It's exciting. Look, what I'll do is, in a little bit we'll hand out this for all those chart lovers. You can go through, pour through the financials. But suffice to say, this is our historical trading over the last 5 years. So 2011, 2012, 13, 14, and 15. The red line is sales, and the blue line is revenue for the Ooooby platform. So as you can see, for the first 3 years, it was just the Ooooby and the platform were the one and the same thing. It was here when we started where the sales in Sydney in particular started to show more, and revenue for the platform was less than the total sales. And then here again, when we bring the other hubs in, you can see the sales are quite high and our revenue has grown as well. So that's the growth curve there. Moving on. All right, and this is the fun part. These are projections. So this is up to reality. And we have gone from here to here with no funding at all, other than a little bit of money out of my pocket and Dave's pocket and my mum's pocket. We've pretty much funded this. It's been bootstrapped the whole way, and we've been funded on the positive cash flow model of the business, which has been very helpful. So what we're doing now, though, is we have figured out how to make it work. We've figured out where marketing dollars can be spent so they definitely get a return. For a while, we were throwing bits and activities here, there, and everywhere to figure out and to find out what worked and what didn't. A lot of stuff doesn't work, but we know what does now. And so what we're ready to do now is invest in growth and invest in opening new hubs so that we can actually start to really make a real difference. So you can see that the growth here it's going to be a faster growth here because we're going to have some funding to be able to actually grow the business as opposed to just bootstrapping it bit by bit and going organic. Okay, moving right along. Okay, and for those of you who are interested, this is a way we're breaking down the funding. So you'll notice, there's three different targets that we might raise from doing this fundraising. We could either raise 200,000, which is our minimum. The middle target is the silver one, which is 400,000, and the gold target we're going for is 800,000. And this basically breaks down where we will spend the money in those areas, depending on the amount of money we raise. Okay, but as you can see, new hub development is our top priority because it's something we can do pretty easily. It's something we've already got all the resources there to do, and as long as there's people in local areas that want to see local food going and get started, we can be in there, we can help set them up, and it's where a lot of the opportunity is. Okay, and here's a fun bit, you're going to love this. James is going to play a little video that was a real surprise when we saw it. This is the Mayor of Fresno.
It's good to know that we can also make sure that the highest quality fruits and vegetables that are grown all around our city, just outside our city limits, also now can find their way directly from the fields onto the kitchen tables and homes across our community. Now that's possible thanks to a new local food subscription service called Ooooby. Everybody say Ooooby. Ooooby, it just feels good to say it, and you ought to get used to saying it because it's going to be the big name for Fresno foodies. Ooooby stands for out of our own backyards, and it's a business venture that puts together boxes of locally grown produce sourced directly from farms and organic gardens around the Central Valley. Not only is Ooooby helping to make fresh produce available throughout our community, but they're also adding jobs to the local economy. To fill the positions they had available at their distribution site on Belmont, they just put a Help Wanted sign in the front of their window. So their new employees all came immediately from their South Tower District neighborhood, and they're poised for rapid expansion.
There you go, a word from our sponsor, the Mayor. So, as you can see, this is something that started small. We originally were frustrated with the food system we had. We started something small, but it's got traction. It's an idea that so many people have got behind to make happen, and it's already having an impact around the world.
Tell us about the Auckland infrastructure component. I mean, for those out of Auckland.
Yeah. Okay, so in Auckland, what we have is we've finally got ourselves our own warehouse or our own unit. The infrastructure that's required is pretty much tables, scales. Because we're now storing some of the boxes overnight at cool room, cardboard boxes. We have to keep our cardboard boxes and all our things like tape and things like that. There's not much more to it.
So presumably every hub will need that kind of infrastructure?
Yeah, every hub will need that. Yeah, but the thing is, we only actually operate one day a week. It's Tuesday mornings. All the food turns up a little bit on the Monday afternoon. Most of the food turns up on the Tuesday morning. All the packers turn up on the Tuesday morning. It's all packed by lunchtime, and everyone's gone. So we cram, full volume of food of sales right into just one morning. Just again, that's to keep the cost of the operation right down.
So do all the growers deliver it to the hub?
Yeah, they do. We collect some, but typically it's a grower's responsibility to get the food to the hub. That's part of their 50 cents in the dollar. It's like 50 cents is to get it to the hub, and then the 50 cents is to get it from there to the to the customer.
So what happens with premises the rest of the week? Is it your premises?
It is actually our premises at the moment.
Not being used for the rest of the week?
It's not, most of it's not being used at the moment. We're subletting it to another business as well, so that we are helping to cover the costs that way. But we're gearing up to be able to, grow the business up to 2,000 customers, which will mean we'll probably break it over 3 or 4 days. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be said that here in Tauranga there's conversations happening around 2 or 3 different food-related enterprises sharing similar premises. So, the opportunity there for things like, I make mention, the food rescue operation coming together, so that there's we don't all need the premises for 7 days a week, so it kind of makes good sense to share it. So that's another possibility.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you reuse the boxes?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Our drivers collect the boxes. If you leave them on the doorstep, flattened out, leave them on the doorstep, we'll collect them and reuse them up to. They typically, a box will last 4 or 5 times. Yeah, at a stretch. I mean, it depends on how well they're treated, Yeah. Yes.
With you talked about the dividend as
Yep.
such, the excess, is that like, and you said you can spend it at other places like cafes and local other businesses, is that like a sort of a Berkshire or a Tottenham pound, that's sort of like a local currency? Is that the same
Yeah.
thing?
Why not? It kind of is. It's when you think about it, it's a voucher that's redeemable for food. At the very worst, you can come back to Ooooby and get food for it.
Right.
So what you do with it is, in the meantime, you can go and spend it at other places.
Right. So they're aligned with that, like a barcode system from restaurants, say. I'm in on the program.
Yeah.
So you have to be in on the program to be able to.
Yeah, like we would.
Swap.
The way we would work with local retailers, as in cafes or so forth, is we would have a conversation with them. We'd need to talk to them about what our whole mission's about, and they would need to sign up to basically a code of principles that they're going to operate by in terms of they're going to support local growers and they're going to operate fair trading practices and things like that. And if they're happy to get behind the mission, then we're happy to promote their business and for people to spend their vouchers there. Yeah.
Would you be offering them like financial reward for participating, or would it be they'd be getting produce for their cafe?
We would just redeem, so how many vouchers they collected. If they collected $100 of vouchers, they gave them to us, we just paid them $100. I mean, we could, if they wanted to, they could pay for food with those vouchers for their cafe. They definitely could do that. But we'd also want to make it really easy, and hassle-free for the businesses to accept that, to accept the trade. Yes.
If you invest and it happens that you need the money back, is it at all liquid? Can you get the money back?
The short answer to that is we don't have a mechanism for that yet. Crowdfunding is still very new, and secondary markets for crowdfunding is something that's on the horizon. There's an organisation called Syndex, which is building a secondary market for just this thing. And right now, the only way that you could sell your shares if you would find your own buyer. And we would facilitate the transfer and everything like that for you. We could possibly make some introductions or things like that, but really the best way to think about this, making this sort of investment, is it is a long-term investment. It is one where the value is going to be coming more from the discount than from the dividends. Capital gain is something that, considering the nature of the dividends and the nature of the business, I wouldn't want to be telling you that you're going to get a great big capital gain out of it. It wouldn't be the motivation to go in. It's but having said that, in terms of liquidity, it's something that I think that is in the future, but I can't say for sure. Yeah. All right. Yeah, great question. So what happens, the way it's set up is there is the Ooooby Foundation, which it's not charitable status yet. It was only formed, in fact, it was incorporated today. It was the day of actually incorporation, and it's going for charitable status. So it owns 90% of Ooooby Limited as right now. After the fundraising, it will own 80% of Ooooby Limited and the investors will own 20%. The Ooooby Foundation shares are voting shares, the investor shares are non-voting shares. So the Ooooby Foundation has control and gets the most of the benefit from Ooooby platform. Okay, so Ooooby Limited is a business, but it's owned and mostly controlled by the Ooooby Foundation. Well, it's completely controlled by the Ooooby Foundation and mostly owned by the Ooooby Foundation. And so, the thinking behind this is that, you know, the mission is definitely more important than the money. You know, no one's going to be getting paid exorbitant, pay rates or anything like that. Executive salaries and things like that. Everyone's salaries is going to be available for anyone to see, and no one's in it to be able to, claw as much money as they can out of it. So it's primarily a mission-driven organisation, but it's got to operate like a business, and so that it can actually generate profit. It's just what we use profit for is different.
Can we like an update on where the Ooooby is locally? Like how
Yep.
we're up to?
Where we're up to here in Tauranga? Yeah, sure. Well, where's Linda? Where are you, Linda? There she is. Linda, thank you, Linda. Linda's been out doing the groundwork. She's been awesome, making contact with all the growers. Do you want to share what you've been doing? You want to come on up? Cheers.
I'm still learning myself, but I've been really busy talking to people, growers, well, all sorts of people everywhere actually, because I'm really passionate about it. But yeah, I've got quite a few growers on board, probably 15, 18, 20 by now. I'm still looking for more, and so I'm still interviewing and getting information. So all we need now is to finalise a hub somewhere, which we hope to have within the next month or so, and then we can start. So right now I need to really do a big push for customers. So I need lots of email addresses, and I'd like to have at least 100, preferably 150 names. So anybody wanting to grow or become a customer, or just talk to me afterwards, and yeah.
Thanks.
The way that we structured it, it's designed so that it can be owned by a lot of people. Like, my shareholding is around about 4%, and James is probably around about 3% or something like that. None of us have got these big shareholdings, okay? And we don't want to have these big shareholdings. The whole idea is that we own it with a whole lot of other people, so that it's something that we can share in common. This business was never really set up as something just for us. It was more, it was a really sort of exciting and crazy idea that has just taken off, And so the whole idea is, it is about we all share it together. It is about we all own it together. And this, this is one opportunity, one way of doing that.
If you can read that, I don't know if you can read that, but ooooby.org/food system rebuild will get you to this page. And I think just before we start the evening, we were at 72,000 raised in the last 48 hours. So it's been quite impressive for us, because what we haven't done is we haven't gone out to a bunch of people and said, hey, can you please, as soon as we go live, can you put 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 into get this thing ramped up really quickly? We haven't done that. We got 47 pledges. Most of them are $500 pledges. So this is people getting behind Ooooby going, yep, that's cool, I'll get a little discount. Yep, I'll pay that off in 5 years or so with a $50 purchase. And if I get some dividends at the end of that as well, that's awesome, So, and my discount continues on forever. So it's mostly people putting small amounts of money in. It's people getting behind it because
they can see it's making a difference in rebuilding the local food system. That's what it's about.
You got another question? Yep.
Have you had thoughts about things like dairy products and meat or preserved items and stuff like that? And in terms of those things, do you have a means of like food standards, organic, non-spray?
Great. Yeah. So we do add. Customers can already buy bread and spreads and preserves and things like that. And when we buy those, when we're trading in those products, it's up to the producer to make sure that they're complying with food standards. So it's just like any other sort of retailer. If it's already sealed in a jar or things like that, it's pretty safe. As long as the food producer's done a great job. In terms of organic, we have a bias toward organic, but we don't only do organic. The purpose of Ooooby is to support small-scale local food growers and artisan producers. But we definitely encourage moving toward organic, and we also do mostly organic because that's what our customers want. And in terms of chilled, dairy and meat and things like that, well, that requires a chilled distribution. So that is one of the things that we will be investing in, is some refrigerated vehicles, as well as some more refrigeration space within the warehouse. So
that's just within Auckland?
That's just within Auckland, just so that we can start offering ready-made meals, dairy, meat, fish, and all the chilled ones, which of course is going to increase the average transaction value. At the moment, average transaction value is about $50, but when you can add all those other things, it'll mean you'll be able to buy more from you. Yes?
As far as customers go, how would a box of Ooooby compare to farmers market or the supermarket?
Price-wise?
Price-wise.
We did an 18-month study where every week we took the price of the food that we were putting in the box and we compared it with Countdown, if it was conventionally grown, or Huckleberries, if it was organically grown. And it worked out that over 18 months, so some weeks we were definitely more expensive and other weeks we were definitely cheaper. But over 18 months it worked out we were about 1.5% cheaper than the normal retailer would sell for. Plus we deliver it to your door within that price. So you don't have to go down there, pick it up, pack it yourself and do all that. It just turns up. So yeah, it's really price competitive. And at the same time we're paying the growers more. Yeah.
And how does, for instance, Huckleberry seeding as a competitor, or?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it's an interesting thing. Our customer base at the moment is really quite a thin sort of slither of the market because first, our customers need to care about more than just their own experience. Most of our customers actually are thinking about the bigger picture. They also, we're giving them a random box of vegetables, so they've got to have a pretty good culinary kind of skill set. They've also got to have a bit of time to think about and a headspace to be able to think about what am I going to come up with, with this box of random veggies. So at the moment we're not really taking a whole lot of business away from Huckleberries or the like because we don't offer that walk around, browse, select your own thing. Over time though, as the software develops and as the convenience and so forth comes in and we bring more products, then yeah, I mean we'll be as in the market like any other business. That's it. God.
That's it from us.
Yeah, that's it. So,